In 2016, as per the data that I have kind of collected from some of the industry reports, which I think Girish might know a lot of because your agency does a lot of reporting at the start of the year. So I have the numbers. Like in 2016, the AdX spends in India was around 50 to 60,000 crores. Can you guess how much it increased to in 2026? What might be the figure? Of course, it's higher than 50,000 crores. Any random number? Almost, almost. So it's around, as per projections by reports, it's around 1,75,000 crores is projected for this year, end of this year. It's a 3x growth in the last 10 years itself. If I talk about digital, digital has been dominating. Digital started off with a meager 12-15% in 2016. Now it commands around how much? 60%? Somebody is saying 64%. I think WPP is very optimistic. It's saying 64%. And in terms of traditional media, of course, it's slightly declining. It used to be around 80% in 2016, 10 years ago. It's currently hovering around 35-40% as per reports. Now, this also means that CTV as a component has now kind of developed into a very mainstream media mix, in the media mix, right? CTV's rise in India is absolutely unprecedented. We are seeing the spends grow from, and I've taken a 5 years window because 10 years we do not have too much data from. But in CTV ad spends, India, it has grown from around 450 crores in 2022 now to around 8,000 crores being projected for 2026 by WPP. And it's growing at a CAGR of 40 to 45%. And this gives me a great segue into the discussion today. I have a great mix of brands from across categories. I have got agency representation from holdcos, from independent agencies. So what I'd like to do is, I'll firstly take initial thoughts from everyone about CTV. And the topic, as you know, is streaming and connected TV, the next media battleground. So first thoughts, and I'll go from, I think, my immediate neighbor.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. And as far as the topic goes, see, the initial thought is that I honestly feel that more than a battleground, it is honestly a very big opportunity, which as marketers we realize CTV has brought to the table, especially for mass marketing brands where scale is very important. Till now, one of the big issue was that digital was not able to match that kind of scale. And because of which the investments over the years, while of course have moved towards digital, but it has not moved in a big way. But I think CTV in that sense is a sweet spot wherein you get scale at the same point in time, a very precision oriented targeting, which today is available. Also the fact that purely from a communication point of view, I think it has managed to open up a window for more layered and more evolved communication. So all of the brand marketers who, in the erstwhile time used to put a lot of effort behind developing communication for consumers, I think CTV has enabled that, one can have a more structured and targeted approach towards it. And of course, again, very relevant for mass marketers are how do you elevate the imagery and how do you, make things premium. And again, in absence of scale, that was not something which was a lot of mass marketers were not able to do it. But honestly, that window is also opened up by CTV. So net, many big pluses which have come out. Of course, there's an increasing penetration, so that's a great news. And I think it's very promising, and slowly and steadily, more and more, the advertising kitty will definitely shift towards it. And we are hopeful that we are able to reach to the targeted audience in a bigger scale. Thanks.
Abhishek, next.
So I'll bend on what Ashutosh said. It's no longer an emerging trend. It's sort of obvious now, right? We've gone from let's add CTV, see what happens, to the media plan. It's a given now, right? To your CMOs, your business head would actually look for where is the CTV column in your media plans now, versus it used to be a top-up long while back. Plus the sort of penetration it is driving. A lot of people who used to watch linear TV has shifted to OTTs, CTVs now, premium household. So a lot of brand, which, one thing, if you look at all the CPG brand, FMCG brand, premiumization is the keyword these days. Everybody is talking about it because everybody wants to tap into those 60 million quick commerce database. Everybody wants to sell them because they're not, you know, doing a lot of research. They know, go to Blinkit, Zeptos of the world, buy and done. So that is where CTVs are the where this is all your, you know, premium audience sits. So brands next level where you actually make GCs, NCs sits where? Sits on premium TVs, sits on CTVs. So, you know, it's a given now. Of course, as the rural penetration is also picking up, it will gradually start replacing linear TVs as well. And of course, it can't replace in the next 4 years, 5 years, but slowly, gradually, it will replace, and it would mobile and your CTV targeting would become the primary modes of targeting any consumer moving forward.
I think I totally agree with the fellow members. I think CTV has grown exponentially in last couple of years. If I be very specific, last 3 years been something we have seen the rise like exponentially. I think there used to be a time when CTV used to be just the part of experimental budget. Now it has become a mainstream of the budget basically. And why? Because it is quite evident that I believe in one thing, that because social currency is your display. You own the display and you own the customers for sure. And what is really happening that people are moving out. Of course, they are there on the mobile screens. However, to have a better experience, you go for a bigger screen, and that's when the CTV is playing very vital role. Why? Also because it comes with the premium audiences sitting behind the paywalls for sure. Apart from that, it is that kind of a targeting that has recently evolved within CTV is being also magnanimous. I think it is quite seeing because of the Android being enabled, you see the great opportunities are there. So that's where your targeting has become very precise. And also it is, I think the kind of a platform it has now become, going more beyond smaller screen to the bigger screen and more optimized. And I think not just limited to Gen Zs and millennials, but going more towards intent-based targeting as well. So you want to be premium, like it is happening all across the world. I come from smartphone as a category basically. So there we are also seeing affordability has now become more aspirational, and people are going towards premiumization. So is the brand also going premiumization. And to meet your premium audience base, I think CTV has become one of the milestone for sure. So yeah, that's the thing.
Perfect. Girish.
Yeah, so like everyone said, CTV is growing and we all agree it. But what has changed how we are advertising on CTV? So traditionally, there has not been much on the traditional TV, no ad tech, nothing. So now a TV connected to internet, you have a lot more data. You have access to their device, you have access to the location of the device, what content they are watching. With this data coming into picture, we are moving away from a estimated approach to more a data-driven approach. And I feel that's the exact battlefield now, because now more data is coming into picture. It creates more complexity, and complexity in terms of your measurement, your fragmentation, and also how well you can achieve the exposure on CTVs. So yeah.
Sajid.
So I totally agree with all of the panelists who said, and that's why it's a slightly different piece what I say. Yes, one strong thing is that CTV, the term is something between us marketeers. We have coined the term. For the consumer, it's a TV. And the moment they switch the way they're watching content, we'll have no other option to follow them. And that's the basic part that you're following. And one additional part, while everyone talks about and about masses and everything, one thing I strongly believe has also grown a lot is the ability to work on niche content as well. The ability to work on more niche sports like FIFAs, the spread of Formula Ones, the content has increased, availability, access to content has to people have increased, marketers have ability to get more data that who's watching that content, and hence to be able to advertise and take more faster decision. Does it work for me? Does a Formula One work for me? Does a FIFA work for me? Does a Wimbledon work for me? Which previously were just looked at from one mass that it doesn't have reach. Now we are more moving towards affinity, we are moving to more relevant content with the relevant audience. So I think that has given a new wing to these more niche sports contents that's been consumed, and that's growing to a fast pace.
Utkarsh, you're going last. We just discussed it. What happens if you go last?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm sure you have anecdotes or something, right?
So I think just to summarize, right, in a certain way, being on the fag end, and to add on to what Girish said, so CTV is blessing in disguise today because the attention span story is where CTV helps disguise because brands, marketeers somewhere have a mix of confidence because everyone today is talking CTV, right? But what's happening behind the walls is something brands don't have a lot of confidence towards. So it's a mixed emotion, but somewhere it helps, especially given that linear TV is dying and this becomes a far better solutioning and a format to touch upon. So yeah, that's helpful over there.
Perfect. Great initial thoughts. What I've also done now is that, found some questions which are more or less relevant to their experiences. So I'll be putting across questions and leaning on them for answers from their experiences or their brands, whatever they want to share. So first I'll go to you, Ashutosh. VJON is a household name, right? It has a strong mass market base as well. As CTV expands into tier 2 and tier 3 markets, how are you using it to elevate the brand's premium perception and also staying very accessible to those markets?
Right. So, see, premium perception, of course, CTV enables, gives you that advantage of running content which it can elevate the imagery. But I would say that beside premium imagery, one of the big fundamental difference which is happening on ground is that, see, the smart TV penetration is really increasing in a big way. And even if I were to do a survey here and ask people what do they think a 40-inch TV is costing, I think most of you will get it wrong because it is far way cheaper than at least what we used to think, or rather think it is. So what is making, because of which now you have these multiple, and we do, of course, because our core consumer is sitting in tier 2, tier 3, we do a lot of dipsticks and consumer immersions in those tier 2, tier 3 towns, and we get to see a lot of households with smart TV. It is in their budget, it is a priority. Like in typical Indian household, they put these TVs right in the living room, in front, so that if tomorrow neighbors or relatives come, they can see the TV and also make cues about how they are elevating their, lifestyle. And because of all of that, the consumption of, YouTube, the consumption of these multiple channels through which they consume cheap or unsubscribed content is increasing in a big way. So for a mass brand, I think premiumization is one big advantage. With other big advantages that at a basic level, the penetration is also really going up, and it allows us to reach out to very specific audience, which probably for the longest period we thought can only be done by regular linear television. So right now it is helping both our causes, and hence I would say that the growth of CTV is not only because of premiumization but also because of deep penetration of TV, and of course the improvement of living indices across rural and tier 2, tier 3 India.
Perfect. I think similar question for you, Abhishek, because I think similar kind of brands very popular on TV. My question would be, Dabur has a massive presence on the linear TV, right? So how are you using CTV to identify and capture maybe incremental audiences and those who are premium cord cutters households and which are not reachable by linear? How are you identifying those cohorts?
See, at Dabur, because a lot of our products are for mass markets, tier 2, 3, 4 sort of towns, TV, we are not thinking of replacing TV as of now. CTV works as an incremental reach driver for us. People like you mentioned who we can't reach out to, cord cutters, cord neverers, right, who have never had a cable connection, or new age families, who were never on TV. First thing they did was bought a smart TV, started watching, internet shows and all that, and the OTT driver as well. So how we see that is basically how CTVs are driving incremental reach for us. What is the CPRs, cost per reach, cost per increment effective reach? Because this is where you would see how your media plan is performing. If the incremental reach is coming at 4x, 5x, then it's more of a placeholder game in the Excel sheet. You would add it just to show it to your team that you're also doing CTVs. But if it is actually adding value, say for tier 1, tier 2 towns, it's definitely a yes. But for tier 3, tier 4 town where I would be selling a product like Dabal Lal Tel, which is a very niche market, mothers between 0 to 2 months, 3 months of old kids, right? I might not get these signals from CTVs, right? And it's very difficult to get. Though there are partners like Trade Desk, Tretio, who would give you deterministic signals, it's again a very, very specific signal. So what I would have to do is to, of course, look at season where I have the higher saliency, do a mass awareness campaign on TV, and of course build on that with CTVs and other premium devices if I have penetration in those markets where these audiences are available, because CTVs are going, it's a very big thing, but you have to see if my audience are actually available on those cities.
Perfect. I come to Girish because mobile is a very fascinating category. We were just discussing outside what your marketing plan looks like, and CTV is a very core part of your marketing plan, right? My question to you would be: smartphone buyers are highly research oriented. They always research the specs and everything. How do you use the visual grandeur of CTV to showcase the specs, the pricing, everything about your phones?
I think, it has become extremely important. You spend a lot of money on developing great celeb content, spending crores and crores of money, and of course, the more you, if you're basically what is the fundamental says that you're spending X on creating the content, then you're spreading the content should be at least 4x to 5x. So not really. So when you're doing it using another display, like let's say a mobile display, it's not really doing the justice to what we have created. So it gives you that immersive experience if you do it via, CTV. That has been a great opportunity for us. Also, why it is very, very important for us is to showcase the minorities, or say the granularities, very specific creations that we have made. Let's say if I want to talk about photography skill, how visually immersive it can be, how accurately I can show that my experience by clicking up photography. How can you replace an image with the help of mobile photography, same as a DSLR quality. You cannot just show it with the help of mobile phone. So sometimes it becomes great to have it on CTV. Similarly, we have different finishes on our phones, specifically like it is like a vegan leather finish, Alcantara finish, there is wood finish, there is diamond finish. There are multiple things that we are doing, and to showcase that kind of a detailing in a bigger TV, the experience becomes even grand and more immersive. That's how you can basically talk about the more specific detailing about the product and the features of the product. So it has really been very helpful, and which is why we have seen I think more than 2x of engagement rate. I think the interaction has really helped us drive our searches as well. If I am doing it a mix, not just the CTV, but a mix of YT, of course, the TV and CTV. So it has really helped us, not just the CTV, but overall approach has really worked well for us.
Fantastic. Girish, I'll come to you now. I've read the entire Dentsu report that got published. I'm joking, I'm not read the entire report, but yeah. So Dentsu report says that money follows all the eyeballs, right? Wherever the eyeballs are, be it on CTV, traditional or mobile, the money is following that. But measurement still remains fragmented. So how do you kind of help brands in creating a unified view of, of reach across linear, connected TV, and digital in general?
Okay. So, Abhishek, like you mentioned, linear is very big. So, linear is close to some 190 million household, and your connected TV is roughly 50 to 80 million household. So, it cannot be either or. It has to be both. So, and the challenge is a household seeing an ad on linear and your CTV, which is a duplication. So to avoid this and to solve this problem, Dentsu has created a planning tool, a tool which takes a lot of signals from panel data to CTV data, ACR, and created a incremental so unified reach across the screen, so that you know that what is the reach that you are delivering across your linear and your CTV. And I think he also mentioned on the incrementality. I think that this also solves the incrementality, because this is not just a view of reach, it will also show what portion of CTV is giving you that incremental reach from a linear campaign. So that insight will help brand to have a holistic view of their planning and strategy making.
Perfect. Sajid, I'll come to you on this one. You are masters of 30 minutes delivery. How can CTV, move beyond the branding to become more performance engine? I know the answer to this because we discussed this outside, but still, perhaps through maybe including a QR code or shoppable nature of the creatives, how do you kind of plan to take it to the performance route, if at all?
So two aspects to it. First part is that yes, CTV has the ability to have the performance part of it, primarily driven by the fact of how you're placing at the ad at the right time, at the right venture. For example, a cricket, impact, time band based, binge watching, all these adventures, when you catch it at the right time, it automatically becomes a performance driving app. And we've tried and tested that clearly that's a business spike every time you are visible at a very relevant time frame. That's there. But the second part, I am slightly not very keen on this fact because we have not, with all the experimentation we have done, we have not broken the code for delivering a seamless QR code experiment. And secondly, the most important part is that a country is a country where the phone works as a second external organ. It's always there. And especially for a brand like Domino's, where the awareness and availability is pretty much widespread, might be for a newer brand where you are promoting more downloads or more educational base of things that you're pushing in might be relevant. But for in general, more aware brand, a QR code doesn't add too much. We have done and experimented with it because people inherently have the phones in their hands, and half of the team, if you see there, they have their phones in their hand. So we're so used to it. We take our phones when you're eating, we take our phones when you're shitting. That's as simple as that. So you're so used to it, if you do it the right time and right space, you don't need a QR code. It's an inherent ability of people to just click it, they do it. They're always on the phone. So might be once we develop a seamless way, otherwise you're creating an interruption for them. So that's also very important that you should not break the viewership pattern when someone is doing something.
Fantastic answer. Utkarsh, I'll come to you. You are a digital growth partner for brands, right? So, how do you move CTV from a branding line item? It's a similar question to Sajid, to a performance line item, especially for D2C or digital first clients.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. So Social Beat was always known as a performance marketing agency, right? And yet today we are here at a CTV panel. So I think what works for us very well is the fact that CTV allows you at a geo level targeting, right? So unlike a linear where you are at the mercy of viewership and channel content from a geo perspective, on CTV we can go very precise to the extent of cities where we want to experiment. And over time, we have built that mechanism where we are in fact working with one of the largest growing D2C brands where we do CTV campaigns and we look at CTV as a full funnel solution where we do the experimentation in micro markets and try to attribute that back to the bottom funnel. Sometimes it might not be a direct attribution getting triggered through a UTM string, but it's always about the incremental sale that comes in, right? And when I'm talking about this brand is spread across 7 different fulfillment channels, including their own website, marketplace, QCOM. Yet, we see a very good complementary effect over there. And hence, when now brands see CTV as part of a sustained presence, even to grow a category, it is perceived far better than how it was probably 2-3 years back. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I don't have too much time with me, but what I'll do is ask next questions and please answer in brief as much as possible. So Ashutosh, I'll start with you. Shaving and grooming are very individual decisions, and I think it's an interesting question because in a co-viewing kind of a household environment where everyone is watching the TV, like how do you ensure that your message reaches the primary decision maker or the person you are intending to reach?
So honestly, one of the thing about grooming is that it doesn't get decided by only the individual who's using it. So the fact that there are multiple people watching that content is not a negative thing at all, because spouses have an opinion on grooming, friends have an opinion on grooming, and hence in that sense it makes sense. But apart from that, of course, I mean, when we run CTV campaigns, we of course do retargeting basis that, and we ensure that we do regional edit integrations so as to have a very specific and nuanced conversation with the kind of consumer we are trying to get at. So that has been an approach to make it feel more personalized from a grooming POV, but purely from a marketing, as I mentioned, point of view, it completely also works for us that there is a bigger audience grooming when we were to showcase our communications.
Perfect. An extension of this question itself for you, Abhishek. How do you balance the lean back nature of co-viewing on CTV on a big screen with the precision targeting needed for your kind of a category?
See, this is co-viewing, right? The messaging, everything has to be trustworthy, clean, because the entire family is watching. Yeah, so it can't be, one, of course, there's a lot of things happening on Instagram, the hook rate and of the world, hold rates of the world, but it doesn't work on CTV. So this is the entire family watching. They would watch it. They would watch it for trust. They would watch it for some sort of assurance that this product would add some value to their life. So I think that's important, how you convey that in the messaging. Thankfully, our categories are like that. We're not selling DIGIXX of the world, or so it's relatively easier for us. And of course, the trust building exercise has to happen. Family is watching this on the messaging, and then CTV gives you some sort of, on mobile it's 6 seconds, 10 seconds, so everything has to be done very quickly. It's 3 seconds mein hold rate nahi aaya, the people will swipe up and all that. It's lean back watching, right? People will consume it. So you would also have time to organically tell your story and integrate brand. That would be easier for the consumers to actually understand versus a slapstick sort of advertising.
Nice. Girish, I'll come to you, and a subtle plug-in of cargo, because of course I'm a sales guy after all, so I need to plug in my platform as well. Your audiences are tech savvy, right? They understand technology.
Quite, yes.
So are you experimenting with rich media, interactive formats, pause ads on CTV?
We are, but being in extremely limited environment, because we prefer as a brand that we shouldn't be spoiling the entertainment that people are going through. So we have integrated a bit of maybe like a search bar in order to give the call to action and buy the product directly from the CTV, which has not really been the case. Some spin the wheel with the help of the remote navigation. You just click on it and multiple features will open to it. Couple of AI integration also we have tried with the help of MyoAI and couple of other things. So it's been very interactive, and the ERs have been extremely good. But yes, we try to have it in the limited environment, not too exposed.
Perfect. Last few questions, Girish, very quickly. With the rise of fast channels, do you think brands should shift their traditional budgets to TV?
So I'll keep it very quick. I'll give an example straightforward. So fast gives you a similar experience, but with a personalization. So we did one campaign, we did one CTV campaign. What we did, we connected the weather trigger and customized the creative basis the weather outside of the room. So a person sitting in Gurgaon, it's raining, he is seeing an ad which has raining or communication related to that particular weather. So that's the power of programmatic. So if you take the right tech, right data signal, you can reach out to the audience at the right time, right communication, and so that's the example that I have. So that's a power of fast that you can leverage.
Perfect. Sajid, finally, streaming is often associated with binge watching, right? And snacking together. So, how do you kind of use contextual triggers in that to target the right audiences?
So a lot of times when we do the specific creatives that actually work with certain kind of content, definitely that helps us bring in this. For example, a cricket is a sport that's been more watched co-viewing with friends, and also we'll have a product that's been for larger group consumption. Might be a late night show would ideally prefer a more personalized individual consumption product. So these experiments do work with us, and we have seen that not just product, price, region, all the three aspects actually come into play, because all of India has different flavors that they work in. So that definitely works well. And it's an experimentation. Every time you do a test and learn, keep on learning. I think it's a vicious cycle that keeps on happening, and we're getting better at it. The more ability is coming in, we're getting way better at it.
Utkarsh, very quickly, how can Gen AI be used to personalize CTV at scale?
Interesting one, and I think I will add on to what Girish said. It's correlated, right? So I think spending money on that CPM for the inventory is just one part of it. Production for a big format screen is another part, right? So Gen AI helps you very well over there, because you can have multiple segmentations done over there. Plus, the whole user experience changes, right? So we have in fact seen whenever you plug score APIs, weather APIs, the perception is better, and there are multiple studies in fact we have done with you. So the measurement aspect also shows positive results. So it will always be more scalable with agency not going to brand with the ask of another budget layer for production, right? So it solves both problems over there.
Perfect. We are absolutely out of time. So I had one more question, but then, I think we are totally out of time, right? Okay. You are on stage. That means we don't have even a second. So thank you everyone for, joining this panel, and thank you for the audience for lending your ears.